Hello everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Roger's Reads. So today I'm going to do a little different type of video. I'm going to do a discussion video about my views on cliffhangers and series. Now I've talked about cliffhangers quite a bit on this channel, so I wanted to do a little discussion video on it. As many of you know, I loathe cliffhangers, and they do have a tendency to really piss me off at times. Now, I mentioned in a previous video that I purchased The Six of Crows in hardback a while ago, and was so furious at the end when it ended on a major cliffhanger that I wanted to throw the book across the room. I didn't, though, because I didn't want to damage it. I actually put it on eBay the very next day and got a little bit of my money back. So here's the thing. I spent $18 on the book, spent numerous hours with these characters, about 460 pages or so, if I remember correctly, and all I got was part of a story. Now, to be fair, I should have done a little bit more research on this book to see if it ended on a cliffhanger. But I kind of hate to read too much about a book beforehand as to avoid spoilers. I like to go into a book knowing as little as possible. But the thing is that cliffhangers seem to be a relatively new phenomenon. Now, I've read many book series over the years, and it's only recently that I've started noticing books ending on cliffhangers. For instance, I've read the entire Iron Druid Chronicles, 9 books in all, the entire Charlie Davidson series, which is 12 books, with number 13 on the way, and I think the majority of the books in the Harry Dresden series. And the story in each of those books wraps up at the end. Even with the Harry Potter books, each individual Harry Potter book ended with a proper conclusion to the plot at the end of the book. Now, I don't mind dangling plot threads that continue throughout the entire series, and I actually expect that in a series. I do that as well in the books that I write. But I feel that every book should have a main story that is wrapped up at the end of that book. Books that end abruptly with cliffhangers feel almost like extortion to me. The author is almost forcing me to purchase their next book if I want to find out how the story ends. I don't know, is this lazy writing? Maybe. So, as this cliffhanger thing is a relatively new device and something I wasn't used to in books, it just sits badly with me and feels kind of like sleazy marketing. And lately it seems that every book I've picked up is a cliffhanger or ends with a cliffhanger. So I will say that it could be me, just me overreacting. But I do have a confession to make. I am sort of a closure junkie. So when I pick up a book, especially if I paid big bucks for a hardcover, I do expect some sort of closure at the end. And if I don't get it, I end up feeling robbed. In fact, last week I was at a bookstore and I picked up a book, and I think it was Wonder Woman. But when I saw that the author was Leigh Bardugo, the same author of The Six of Crows, I thought to myself, oh no, I'm not biting that hook again, and I put the book back. Now, I don't mean to be hating so much on the Six of Crows, as I really did love this book. Until the end, that is. And upon later reflection, think, well, maybe I just might pick up the second book in the future and read it because, well, hello, closer junkie. But I only use The Six of Crows as an example because that was a recent read and one that especially irked me. Now, I will also say that if I read a book that ends with a cliffhanger, I will never leave that book a 5-star review, no matter how good it is. I typically only leave cliffhanger books 3 stars if it was a good story. Maybe 4 if it was exceptional. But I figure that since the author only gave me part of a story, I'm only going to give them part of a 5-star review. So I've now taken a couple of steps to avoid getting ripped off by cliffhangers. First of all, I do a search through the reviews on Amazon for the word cliffhanger, and if someone mentions that there's a cliffhanger for that book, I don't buy the book. This way, I don't risk spoilers by reading reviews ahead of time, but I will learn that if anybody who's written a review has used the word cliffhanger in that review. I also had a ton of books on my Kindle that were part of freebie promotions or books that I paid 99 cents for. I actually belong to a couple of these promo sites that would send you daily lists of free books. And my recent experience has shown me that the majority of these types of books are especially prone to being cliffhangers. So I suppose authors make a book free or really inexpensive to get people to read it and then end it with a cliffhanger so that people will rush out to buy the next one in the series. You know, this marketing method feels really sleazy to me. I feel that if a book is good, with complex characters and a solid story, then I will buy more books by this author. For instance, I will instantly buy any book that Dorinda Jones, author of the Charlie Davidson series, releases, or Neil Shusterman, who's written the Ark of a Scythe series. Any books by Adam Silvera or Becky Albertelli. But if the author tricks me into reading a book that doesn't give me closure, that ends in a major cliffhanger, then I often will refuse to ever purchase anything again by that author. So I actually just went through my Kindle recently and deleted all unread books with the words Book 1 in the title or anything such as the first book in an exciting new series. So from this point on, I'm probably going to avoid the free books or the super cheap books unless I know for certain that they aren't part of a series, or at least there aren't any cliffhangers. Now, if there are books that I want to read that I know are part of a series, I'm probably going to hold off on buying them until the series is completed. And that's usually what I do. If a book sounds interesting and I find out it's only book 1, I usually don't buy it, although I've made a couple of exceptions. Just recently I purchased The Bear and the Nightingale, and I know that that's part of a trilogy. But the book didn't end in a cliffhanger. Book 1 gave me closure. Now, there's another downside of cliffhangers, in my opinion. So let's say I read a new book, brand new book, I go out and buy it, and it ends at a cliffhanger. And then I have to wait a year or two, or even more in the case of authors like George R.R. Martin, for the next book in the series. So by the time the new one comes out 2 years later, I've forgotten everything that's happened in that last book, which really takes away from the reading experience. So then I have to reread the past book so I remember the story. And you know, there are so many other books that I want to read. I really hate to spend time rereading something just because the author chose to end the previous book on a stupid cliffhanger. So now I plan on only buying standalone books or series that are completed. I actually recently purchased the book Children of Blood and Bone, and afterwards I read that it was part of a series, and I read that it ends at a major cliffhanger. So I probably won't read this one until the series is completed and all available for purchase, so that I can read them all back to back. Now again, this was another one that was my fault. I probably should have done more research before purchasing it to see whether there was a cliffhanger. If I'd learned that there was indeed a cliffhanger, I never would have bought the book. I would have waited until the series was complete. Now, I know for many people, or maybe for most people, cliffhangers don't bother them in the least. In fact, I've read some reviews where people actually get excited by cliffhangers. So maybe I am the lone wolf here, and it could very well be that I'm simply being unreasonable. So I'd like to ask you, what are your opinions on cliffhangers? Love them? Hate them? Does it matter? Do I just need to lighten up? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. I know other people's views about cliffhangers. But that's it for this little discussion video. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I appreciate you watching. And I thank you for your support. and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.